Blackpool and Fleetwood, Lytham and Kirkham, St Anne's and Thornton. In fact, to wherever you are from here. Fylde Coast Radio.
You're listening to Lindsey Notts at Fylde Coast Radio.
Yes, you are. I'm just going to adjust these volumes a little bit. I've got a bit of an echo going on there. That's much better. It's 1 minute past 11 o'clock. It's me, Lindsey Notts, here with you until 12 noon today. And as promised to you earlier, I am joined in the studio now by two lovely people from Lancashire Constabulary. I've got Detective Inspector Alisa Wilson, who I haven't met before, I don't think, and Detective Sergeant Chris Naidu, who I have had the pleasure of meeting before. How are you this morning, chaps?
Well, thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Looking well.
Thank you. And you?
Stress of the job not getting to you?
Not yet.
Not yet, no. Well, just first of all, I mean, I've got on my piece of paper here CID, but you're actually in a specific role, aren't you, within a detective's role? Yeah. What is it that you do?
We're both based in the Child Protection Unit at Blackpool.
Right.
We work over with children's social care in a multi-agency setup, and we look at child abuse, mainly for people who are connected, familially connected with children. So we have a grown team. We've recently grown this year. We've got 3 detective sergeants, and we've also got 18 detective constables who focus on child abuse.
And is that just in this area? In this
Blackpool or in Fylde? Yeah.
Wow, that must be a lot of people across the force. Then it must be like a big thing that you're dealing with. If there's that many people, that's a big team.
Yeah, we're lucky that we've got specialists working in this area so that we can support children and also adult survivors of child abuse as well. It's a really important area that we get right, and we've invested, the amount of resources and specialisms to deal with that.
That's brilliant. So is this something you've been particularly involved in for quite a while, Alisa, or is it a new role for you?
Yeah, it's a fairly new role for me. I've been working in this role for nearly 12 months now. I came over to Blackpool promoted as a detective inspector.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I have come from a public protection background over in East Lancashire,
right.
Where I worked with domestic abuse and also vulnerable adult abuse. But this is the first time I've come and worked in an area solely concentrating on child abuse. But it's great to be here in Blackpool. I'm from Blackpool, so it's a place that I've always wanted to work, and it's taken me 16 years to get here. So I'm pleased to be here.
Good. So you're from Blackpool, but you were posted over to East Lancashire originally?
I've sort of worked around the county.
Yes.
I've worked at Preston, I've worked over at headquarters at Hutton, Burnley and Blackburn, and finally got back to where I actually wanted to be.
Yeah. It's good to have local people policing the area, isn't it? I think so. And what about you, Chris? How long have you been working on child protection?
Well, I've been working on child protection since the summer of 2015. I went in there as a sergeant at that point, as a temporary sergeant.
Yes.
And then, luckily for me, not so long after that, they opened up the promotion boards.
Did nobody else apply? Sorry, I'm only kidding.
No, it's all right. And luckily for me, I passed my sergeant's promotion board. So that 12 months ago that was. So I got officially promoted around this time last year.
Congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
So what did you do before child protection? Have you been involved in detective type work before?
Yes, I have. Before child protection, I was on the major investigations team, which is our force team, primarily really focusing on murders.
Wow.
So that's it's really a murder team.
Yeah.
So I worked on that team for the best part of 6 years.
Gosh.
And then before that, I was on CID.
Yes.
And then before that, I was in uniform.
Right, so quite a wide and varied career.
Yes.
Have you always been in this area? Have you worked around the county as well?
No, when I joined, I was posted to Lancaster.
Right.
So I worked in Lancaster for quite a few years, and initially I lived in. We had some accommodation above Morecambe Police Station. All that's gone now.
But that was fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was good. So I lived up there, and then I moved back down to this area. I had about 10 years servicing when I moved back down this way. But I grew up in Blackpool, so I've got a vested interest in Blackpool, and I really enjoy working here.
Yeah, I think is the chief constable. He's from this area as well, isn't he?
He's local, yes.
Yes. It's good to see us Blackpool not doing well, isn't it? Well, you, not particularly me. So tell us a little bit then about child protection. I know you said it's about vulnerable young people. Is it is it sort of dealing with things after they've happened, or is there anything you do proactively to try and prevent things happening in the first instance? Maybe if they've got a vulnerability that's been flagged up to you, what type of work do you do around that?
Yeah, it's both really. We get referrals from all different agencies that tend to come sort of funneled through children's social care. And they could be quite low-level concerns which will be picked up and some early action put in with the children to prevent them becoming victims. But we also get the reactive inquiries as well, where the abuse has already happened.
Right.
And that we get the recent cases that have happened to children, and also the non-recent cases as well. So adults will frequently contact us to say that they have been victims in the past and now want to talk about the abuse they've suffered.
So how does this information kind of come filtered through to you? Is it from the families, or is it from maybe if they've been in contact with, you know, another adult, maybe at school, a teacher or a member of social services? Is it through all different methods that it comes through to you?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, children will often make disclosures to people who they trust.
Yes.
So that could be a teacher at school. If young children are at nursery might pick up on things. We get referrals that way. Sometimes we get referrals from the NSPCC. People who are concerned about children can contact them and share their concerns. We get it from Crime Stoppers information. We get it from a whole host of different ways. But what we need is children and adults who've been abused to feel that they are able to trust people and that they will be believed, and that there are specialist officers there waiting to deal with whatever they want to tell us.
We're using here the word abuse. I just want to sort of clarify for myself and the listeners about that. Are we just talking about sexual abuse, or are we looking at physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse? Is it the wide range? Or
it's all those things.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't need to just be physical or sexual. We do look at emotional abuse, particularly where children might be growing up in a family where there is domestic abuse and they are being emotionally abused as a result of that. So it's a whole spectrum of issues that we look at.
I can see now why you're so busy and you need as many detectives as you've got, because if you're looking at all those different areas and you've got young people who are hopefully feeling more like they can come forward, then you're going to get plenty of work coming in. I can see that.
Yes.
I think I've seen an advert on the telly at the moment. I don't know whether you've seen it or not, and it's a young girl and she's with a teacher doing sports, and the teacher's saying to herself, we've got to have a difficult discussion here, and then the child is saying, I've got to have a difficult discussion here. And I watched that advert and I think it's quite impactful really about how the child is thinking they've got to have a difficult discussion, but even the adult themselves is thinking that.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
No,
Have you seen it, Chris?
Yes, I have seen that one.
Yeah.
And that really is a situation that plays out quite regularly with the kind of disclosures that we get. And as Alisa said, we do get a lot of disclosures from people who children trust, and that's a lot of the time where the initial disclosures come in, and then it's down to us really and our detectives to speak to children and to try and form some trust there, to form relationships with the children, get the children into a position where they feel they're being supported, and then we find that once they're comfortable with us, then they'll tell us exactly what's been happening, and we can help them as best we can.
Yeah, I guess thinking back to when I was a child, there was nothing terrible like that happened to me, thank goodness. But there was things that happened, you were in a bit of trouble or whatever, and you wouldn't go to your parents. You would go to, in my case, it was my older sister I always used to go to, because she was quite a bit older than me, because you felt a little bit scared about speaking to your parents. And I imagine if something as horrific has happened as abuse, then it's maybe not going to be the first port of call the parents, or even I suppose it could be the parents that are perpetrating the abuse.
Yes. And it's the same with adults as well. Adults, obviously, as Alisa said, we deal with a lot of historic allegations.
Yes.
So adults, they will confide in somebody that they trust, maybe a counsellor, maybe a friend.
Right.
So sometimes maybe it's not the actual victim that reports it to us, it may be somebody else, and then it's down to us then to make contact with the victim and to form that trust, to build that relationship, so that they feel supported, and then so that they feel in a position where they're strong enough and supported by us to talk about what's happened.
Do you find, this is just a general throw out question, that it tends to be people that these children trust that are perpetrating this abuse? I'm thinking, it could be within the family, or it could be maybe even a teacher at school that's perpetrating the abuse. Does it tend to be someone that they actually know?
Quite frequently, all the cases that we deal with are people who are connected to the child.
Right.
So quite often, it's easy for an abuser to have contact with the child. They don't have to get over that hurdle in the first instance to facilitate the abuse. They've already got the trust of the child. And also there might not be anybody else in that immediate family situation to see what's going on, so the abuse can carry on undetected. Right. And for a child as well to actually have the trust and make a disclosure to somebody, they may be concerned that they're not going to be believed because they are a child, and it'd be a child's word against an adult's word. So in those circumstances, it must be incredibly difficult for children to seek help. Yeah, that's a good point, being believed. As a child, you think, well, they're the adult, and if I speak out, and I might not be believed. So if people want to get hold of your team, how would they do that? If somebody's listening, they're thinking, gosh, that's happened to me, or it may have happened historically, or they know a young person that they... I'm thinking, is it, even if it's something they just suspect, is it okay to report it? Absolutely. Yeah. We'd rather people raise their concerns, and that we can potentially stop an abuse before it starts. Yeah. So they can contact the police on 101. Right. That's the generic number. They can speak to an operator and raise their concerns, and that will come through to the child protection team. But there are other ways that people can report abuse of children as well. And one of those is to the NSPCC direct. They have a website, but also their phone number is 0808 800 5000. There are other organisations as well, such as if children wanted to speak to someone confidentially, they could contact Childline, or if somebody wanted to give some anonymous information, then there's always Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. I'm glad you know that number. I remember a detective sergeant, won't name her, you might know her, she used to be on FMIT. She went on, what's it called, that Crime Watch, the national programme. Yes, yeah. Do you remember this? Yeah. And then they said at the end to her, so what is the number for Crime Stoppers then? And she just went, I don't know. And so for months afterwards, she kept getting notes on her desk, Crime Stoppers number. So I'm glad you knew that number. Right, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a track on, and then after the track, if it's okay with you guys, can we come back and talk about online abuse and how to stay safe online? Is that okay? Sure. Right, I'm going to play a tune that I play for all my police guests coming. It's to show my appreciation for what you guys do, and also the listeners' appreciation. It's You Still Put the Uniform On by Holly Cahill.
People will talk, though they don't understand. Situations you're in can get so out of hand. They'll state their lies as if they are fact. Once the damage is done, you can't take it back. You do your best to protect and serve, but are treated in ways that you don't deserve. They call your names and spit in your face, but if you weren't there, who would take your place? 'Cause you spend your life in danger, could take a bullet for a stranger. Always have to be brave and tough, though it'll never be enough. And when they're critical of you, they should walk a mile in your shoes. The days are hard, the nights are long, but you still put the uniform on. You come home from work and kiss your kids on the head. Chase monsters from the streets and out from under their beds. What they don't understand is that you're human too, just trying to survive, got a family counting on you. You do your best to protect and serve, but are treated in ways that you don't deserve. They call your names and spit in your face, but if you weren't there, who would take your place? Who would take your place? 'Cause you spend your life in danger, could take a bullet for a stranger. Always have to be brave and tough, though it'll never be enough. And when they're critical of you, they should walk a mile in your shoes. The days are hard, the nights are long, but you still put the uniform on. Too many gone, too many lost. Is it all worth it? What is the cost? Yeah. Mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, got so much to lose. Why do you bother? But you always choose to spend your life in danger. Take a bullet for a stranger, 'cause you spend your life in danger. Could take a bullet for a stranger. Always have to be brave and tough, though it'll never be enough. And when they're critical of you, they should walk a mile in your shoes. The days are hard, the nights are long, but you still put the uniform on. You still put the uniform on. You still put the uniform on. You still put the uniform on.
Blackpool and Fleetwood, Lytham and Kirkham, St Anne's and Thornton. In fact, to wherever you are from here.
Fylde Coast Radio.
Yes, you're back with me, Lindsey Notts, here at Fylde Coast Radio. It's 17 minutes past 11 o'clock and I am here in the studio with Detective Inspector Alisa Wilson and Detective Sergeant Chris Naidu from Lancashire Constabulary. Both are on the Child Protection Unit, which is based in Blackpool at the moment. So whereabouts are you actually based at Bonny Street, or are you based elsewhere?
No, we're at South King Street and we're
Right.
there with Children's Social Care and our multi-agency safeguarding hub. Just means that we can have good relationships with our partner agencies who we work with on a daily basis.
That's good. So if you're all working together, do you have like sort of daily briefings and you all get together and discuss what cases you're dealing with?
Yeah, they operate a sort of triage system through the safeguarding
Yes.
hub, where all the agencies will get together and see what referrals have come in overnight,
Right.
and see what needs to be prioritised, and the work is then sort of distributed from there.
So do you have cover every day of the week then?
Yeah, weekends we're in, and also night time. There are always some night detectives around as well.
Right, okay, so you can get in touch 24/7, because like I say, sometimes something might crop up in the middle of the night, so we can still get a message through and somebody can
Yes.
come out and see us. That's brilliant. Well, we were just chatting during that song about staying safe online, and I was mentioning a particular case of a young lad who was doing gaming online, and he ended up communicating with a chap that wasn't quite all he seems, and sadly ended up losing his life after going out to visit him. So just I wondered if you could basically talk to us a bit about how is the best way to stay safe online, and is it something that's prevalent and gets reported to you as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're coming up to Christmas. Children will be receiving presents, gaming machines, mobile phones. There are things that parents can do to try and keep their children safe. Children quite often involved in games that are being streamed online, but with that comes chat as well. So there's chat functions, messages that can be sent, and children sometimes don't know who they're befriending or indeed who they're talking to. Adults can use these games as a platform to groom children for sexual exploitation, but adults who are setting games up for children, there are things that they can do to keep the children safe. And the first thing is, I suppose, is knowing what the game's content is and making sure it's appropriate for the child's age. A lot of the games have age ratings on them, so they are a good guide, but the parents should always still familiarise themselves with what's actually going on in that game. Parents can actually mute chat,
Right.
and also they can block people as well, block people from speaking to their children and befriending them who they don't know. There are safety settings that can be used and quite easily activated, and I suppose it's that keep going back to the games that your children are on, see who they've befriended, ask your children who they are, and have those open discussions as well with your children. Make sure they know the risk, and make sure they know that actually the person who they're chatting to may not be another child, but it might be an adult with some sinister motives.
Yeah. Is there sort of a pattern in the way these people work when they're grooming children online? Is there a sort of a method that they follow, or can it just be randomly anything? I've heard things about them offering gifts and inviting them out to go fancy places with them. What's sort of the main trend with that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose each case is individual, but ultimately it will start off as chat, you know, and that might be over several weeks, over several months. The chat can sometimes become sexualised, and then sometimes there can be a request to come and meet up, and by that point a relationship's formed. The child might trust who they're talking to and decide to go and meet up with them.
And I think as well it's getting across to children. Children are very trustworthy, and it's getting across to children that when they're online, say they're on their Xbox or they're on their iPad, or on a game on their iPad, you know, if someone knocks on your door and a stranger, and they said, can I come in and play on your Xbox with you, would you let them in?
No.
Well, the answer's no. So it's exactly the same online, and a lot of the online chat, because it's text and you can't hear who's on the other side, it's just about getting across to children that you know, just watch who you are actually chatting to, and really certainly young children should only really be talking to people who they know. They shouldn't really be talking to people who they don't know. And you know, parents can go on with the Xboxes, they can have a look at friends lists, as Alisa said, have a look at messages, and just have a chat as well to your son or your daughter, like, oh, who's that? Well, who's that? And you know, as long as they know, I should only be talking to people that I know, then that is just a really, really big way of keeping them safe. So
unless they know them face to face and it's someone that they interact with in other circumstances at school or wherever, then it really should be not engaging with other people. And I guess I've seen somewhere as well that when you are starting off on the internet as young kids, really you should put that computer in a room, not lock it away in the bedroom with the kid, but have it somewhere where parents can actually see what's going on. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important that parents know what their children are doing online, and if they are in the same room with the child, then that makes it easy for them.
Keep an eye on what's going on. That's really good advice, and it's not just gaming though, is it? That, you know, the kids these days, although they're not supposed to be because there is an age limit, they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on all these things, and again they're chatting and engaging with people that you might not know.
And I think with that as well, it's as Alisa said, it's having a chat with your son or your daughter around what have you been on, and for parents, have a look at your child's history, and if you don't know how to do it, there are some really good tips on the internet, there are some really good videos on YouTube about how to check that. And you know, things like setting your filters on your wireless network at home. Again, you might think at first, well, that sounds a bit daunting.
I've never heard of that.
How do we do that? And it's surprising how many parents don't know how to do that. Again, say you're with BT, you either go on the BT website or just go onto YouTube and just put in the search engine into YouTube, you know, how do I set my filters? And it'll come up and it's step by step, and you can block certain content from coming into your Wi-Fi. So that is a really good way of protecting children and not exposing them to things that they shouldn't really be looking at on the internet.
I'd not heard of that one. That's a really good idea. So you go on to whoever your provider is, and I suppose if in doubt, give them a bell.
Exactly.
Right. All sounds like common sense. So one thing that just popped into my mind, in the news recently locally, I've been reading about these vigilantes that are turning up in Blackpool and ensnaring people. I think they're online purporting to be like a 12-13-year-old boy or girl, and then they've been turning up in Blackpool and basically jumping out on people who've arranged to meet them. Is that something your department's been involved in? Would that come to you?
Not our department, but we have a child sexual exploitation department, and they would pick that up. We've had a couple of jobs in Blackpool, but this is a nationwide issue. It's not just a Blackpool issue. There are a number of these groups who are vigilante paedophile hunters.
That's right.
And they will purport to be a child. They will engage in sexual chat and look to meet up with that perpetrator. From our point of view, it clearly, if somebody is a sex offender, then we need to be dealing with them.
Yes.
But the vigilante groups often confront them in a way that would actually cause them to be at risk, the perpetrators.
Correct.
Quite a lot of our time is then spent having to protect the perpetrators and not really focusing on what we need to be focusing on.
Right. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, because I have seen the videos of these people being confronted, and my immediate thought, actually, I wasn't that concerned about them. I was thinking about the family members, if they've got kids themselves, I was just thinking about the whole setup. And also, in relation to them, their vulnerability then, because if you're confronted in such a public way, which way do you turn? And I think it could be quite dangerous and lead to maybe suicide and all sorts of horrendous things.
We've had to safeguard people who have been targeted by these groups, and that includes a whole host of safeguarding measures. And really, we want to focus on prevention and focus on the victim.
Of course.
And I think as Alisa said there, we do understand the frustrations of these groups when they identify people who are clearly preying on children, but we would rather that information come into us and then we can deal with it from the off then.
Exactly.
And then at least, as Alisa says, it doesn't cause the ongoing problems of us then having to protect the offender. We should be concentrating on the victims rather than the offender. If we can get the information in first of all, we can then sort it out from there, and we can then do it right.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the step too far, in my view, is when it goes on Facebook and they've jumped out at people on North Pier or wherever it might be, and they're publicising it. Like you said, if they've got that information, surely the right thing to do would be just to send it through to you guys, and you can look at the evidence that they've maybe collated in whatever way they've done it and decide whether you can use it or not. But even if you can't, you've got good intelligence, haven't you, there? Right, well, I tell you what, guys, it's been great chatting to you this morning. Just remind us before you go, if we do have concerns about a child, or I'm a child myself and I'm feeling like something's happening to me, it's not right, how can I get in touch? Just remind us again how we can do that.
You can contact the police on 101. If you're a child and you want to talk to someone in confidence, please phone Childline, and that's 0800 1111. If anyone's concerned about people talking to their children online, or just want some more information about how to keep children safe online, they can visit ceop.police.uk, and that's the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Agency, and there's some really good information on their website. And additionally, there's Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
Well done, you got all those numbers right again. Brilliant. Thanks very much, guys, for coming in, and well done on both of your promotions.
Thank you.
Very well deserved. I hope you have a quiet rest of the day. We shouldn't say that, because then it all goes completely wrong, doesn't it? And have a great Christmas as well.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks for coming in. Cheers.
Fylde Coast Radio.